Good morning. Today is Yud Gimel Tammuz, which is the second day of the two-day holiday based on Gimel Tammuz. Because when the previous Rebbe was notified he's going to be released, it was some kind of legal holiday in Russia, and he couldn't actually get the paperwork that he needed. So he knew he was freed, and they actually notified, was Rebbe Chaim Mushka, the Rebbe's wife, was then not his wife yet. She traveled with the previous Rebbe to Kostroma, to his exile, thinking that it will be a couple of years. But miraculously it didn't. She notified them that back home that he's coming. So we have 2 days of celebration. Okay, so this mimer, which is talking about the way to Kostroma on the platform in the train station, we're discussing this idea. We have a few different questions, but the point that we left off with was Yira Shamayim, fear of heaven, is something which comes from the person. And the reason why it has to come from the person is because from within is because it requires bittul to have that self-nullification, selflessness. Love is very much a feeling of self. I am loving. I feel something. I am benefiting, etc., etc. Fear is that I'm not here. It's all about the other thing that I'm afraid of. Now, obviously, in relationship to Hashem and fear of heaven, and again, I want to underscore, it's not scared, it's awe, it's reverence, but it's something which has to come from us. Now, obviously, when it comes to fear of heaven, Hashem has to give us this ability. He has to give us a little push, a little encouragement. He has to almost start the fire to get us to have fear from him. But if you measure, if you analyze, if you describe it in words of Chassidus, fear of heaven is something which Gemara refers to as oitzar, a treasure, because you get it from other places. In this case, other means ourselves. We're getting it from within. We're making it happen. It's not just given to you. Like a king's treasures is not given to him from his father. He has to go and collect it and gather it and amass it, right? Okay. Now, but we still have another question, and that is why he uses the term Hashem should be with us. With us is a very disrespectful term for Hashem. With means you're secondary. Yeah.
You're changing the meaning of my name.
Oh, Immanuel, very good. Yeah. I don't mean, he doesn't say disrespectful. Let's clarify that. Hashem is with us, of course. He's definitely with us. But there's a recognition that we're the secondary tag along and he's the one there. But obviously, once we'll answer the question, it will become clear. What's this idea of with us? So let's look at Eis Dalet. V'hinei. Lashon im, this term of with, I'm with you, shayich kisheyesh dimyain ben shnei advarim. That applies when you have a comparison, a similarity between two things. So I'm with you, or the apples are with the oranges. They're connected. They have a similarity. Like the Chazal tell us regarding the pasuk that they'll stand with you, imcha b'deimim lecha, similar to you, which refers to koyanim in Parshas Ba'aleischa and so on. Da'agam shaloshen im, even though generally the word im, meira, it implies al davar tafel, on something which is secondary, and it's true. It may be secondary, but it's comparable to the main thing. So the father is walking with the child, or the child is walking with the father. He's with him, maybe secondary, because one of them knows how to cross the street and one of them knows how to get there and so on, but they're still similar. They can both walk together, right? So when we say with, although we're asking, hey, that sounds like there's a secondary, how can you say that about Hashem? Let's first appreciate that with also implies similar. S. Similarly, when Torah uses the word S, like we have the word S very often in Torah, Aleph Taf. Shemeir al-lever tafel, it shows on something which is secondary. S, which is secondary to his flesh. Nonetheless, it's similar to the main. Okay, what we're explaining in detail is that although there's a problem with using the word with, because it implies that something here is secondary, not as important, there's a tag along. Before we understand that, let's first appreciate that it also means that they're similar. They belong together. Right? There's some comparison. Which is a proof, a backup that S means similar to. In the works that talk about diktuk, which is grammatical writings, when you talk about secondary, im, with, is one level of not as important. S, entire the word S, is even less important as a tag along. So there's the king, and there's a couple of people that went along with him. Those people are not as important as the king. They're secondary to the king. That's if you use the word im. If you use the word S, then it's even less important. Now, this is needed to understand our question, our answer, really. Therefore, when you say S, the main emphasis here is that it's secondary, it's not important. When you use the word im, I went with you, I could have said I went S. There was king, S, the people, or vs, the people. Then what you're trying to say with that sentence is that the people are secondary to the king. When you use the word im, then what you're trying to imply is that they're similar. And let me go back and just recap this without the text. When you say, I'm going with you, someone here is secondary. There's the important one, the driver, let's say, and you're going along, you got a ride. You're with him. That's one way of saying secondary. There's another way of implying that it's not so important or not the main thing, and that's using the word S. Which one is less important? So he says that when you say S, S means less important. If you compare the expression of S and the expression of im, S is even less important than im. But there's one more thing. Im doesn't just mean secondary. Im also means we're comparable because we went into the same car, right? In this example. You may be the driver, maybe your car, you may know the way, you may have the gas. I'm just coming along with you. But the fact that I'm coming along with you is that we have some kind of similarity. We're friends, or we're going to the same place, or we care about the same things, or whatever. So let's look at the word imcha, which is our question. Why do we say Hashem is with us, secondary? He says, if you wanted to focus on the secondary, we would use the word S. We chose imcha, or Hashem chose imcha, to tell you that I want to underscore the similarity that exists between Hashem and us. Too complicated? Okay, so imcha means secondary, but it also means similar, relatable, connected. And when you use the term imcha instead of S, there's a reason, because you want to bring out the similarity, the connection. When we then move on, our main emphasis here is not that we're secondary, rather that we're similar, or that there is some kind of comparison. What is the similarity between them? It's the similarity regarding what's important and what's secondary. Just like the completion, the wholeness of serving Hashem is not when you do it because you're inspired, but when you do it out of your own efforts. There's two ways to serve Hashem. I came into Shul, it was Yom Kippur. The Chazan was singing a very special tune. There was a certain aura. Everyone was dressed in white. I was fasting for 5 hours. Everything was in place to make me feel a certain way. It was natural, almost. That's one way of serving Hashem. Shleimus of serving Hashem, completion, is that when I have a tendency to be mean or to be angry or to not want to, whatever, help somebody, and I work on myself and I train myself and I'm not in the mood and it's not exciting and it's not the in thing to do and I do it anyways, that's the ultimate of serving Hashem, because it took personal effort. I developed it. I may enjoy it. It may even be my strong point, but it is v'koyach atzmai. Okay, so just like we say, serving Hashem, the shleimus of that is when it's v'koyach atzmai. Shalachei navaya lekeinu tafel kaviyachol la'adam. That's what we say. Avaya lekeinu is tafel to the person. Why is Hashem secondary to the person? He's not secondary, but he's secondary in the context of you say, I want you to serve Hashem not because Hashem inspired you, or it was your birthday, so you felt I really should daven better. That's not b'koach atzmai. That's Hashem telling the person, "No, it's your birthday. It's Shabbos. No, it's Yom Kippur. Do something." Okay, on a simple Tuesday, when a person does, that's b'koach atzmai. So when we say Hashem came with you, what we're trying to say is that He wasn't the driving force here. He was here. He was going to help you. He was encouraging you, but it was b'koach atzmai. So we're not trying to say, oh, Hashem is secondary, chas v'shalom, or somehow it's we're the main thing. We're talking about something very specific. In our service of Hashem, what is the main player? Who is the main player here? Is it me, the human, on my own, trying hard to do the right thing? Or am I and Hashem is just helping me? Giving me a little bit of encouragement, a little inspiration? Or am I completely not here and I'm swept away by the divine inspiration? And what he's saying here is that the ultimate, the shleimus, the completion of serving Hashem is that when you're not swept away by divine inspiration. Almost like when you're not in the mood. You have to bring yourself to do it. Okay? Which sheds a lot of light on this concept. So we're going to stop here for Shachris. But the concept here is that we kind of answered our question. What's this terminology? Hashem should be with us. What we're trying to say is Hashem should not be the main push or cause of our serving Him. But Hashem wants us that we should dig within ourselves and grow to a level that I want to serve Hashem. Even if my yetzer hara, my evil inclination is not in the mood, even if I'm tired, I don't feel it. I'm doing it because you're supposed to. That's development. The example of Yom Kippur, I'm coming back to it because it's a very understandable example. The day tells everybody, it's Yom Kippur. It's the holiest day of the year. I have to be in shul. Thank you. It's worth it. It's important. And it's talking about our inners and everything else. Fine. But ultimately, what's the shleimus is that on Tuesday in June, I'm interested in being in shul because I feel I have to serve Hashem. So Yom Kippur, Hashem is the main player. On Tuesday in June, I may be the main player in regards to serving Hashem. Thanks for joining. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you again soon.